everybody. Good evening, mamas and mamas, and anybody who's on the Brown Mamas Facebook fan page as well. I'm going live from the fan page as well as my in the Pittsburgh Brown Mamas Facebook group. I was on here a minute ago, but I had to disconnect because I decided to go ahead and go live in the group as well as on the fan page. But if you don't know me, my name is Muffy Mendoza. I am the founder of Pittsburgh Brown Mamas, and I'm also the founder of brownmamas.com, and I focus on making moms better moms so that dads can be better dads, children become better adults, and communities become better communities. And I also run the support group Pittsburgh Brown Mamas, and Pittsburgh Brown Mamas is a community for African American moms in Pittsburgh. I'm a little bit greasy in this one camera. Sorry, Brown Mamas who are in the Pittsburgh Brown Mamas group. That camera sucks really, really bad. But it's what I got to work with since I'm going live in two groups. Okay, so if you would do me a favor and share this video if you are on here currently, and even if you don't share it, just say something, say hello, say something so that I can know you are here. But I'm getting on tonight to talk about teenagers and dating, which teenagers and dating is a touchy topic. So, but my son is 15 years old. He's not yet dating because we decided that we were not going to allow him to date just yet, and that we wanted to actually develop a program for him dating rather than just having him just go out and start taking girls on dates, just to make sure that he knew what he was responsible for on a date. So the first question I wanted to kind of go over is, what is dating? Because I think we're kind of off base with even grown black women's understanding of what dating is and understanding of how dating works. So I looked it up in the Webster's Dictionary, and I found that the definition of dating in the Webster's Dictionary is to go out with someone in whom one is romantically or sexually interested. And then I found a better definition of dating in the Urban Dictionary, which is odd because usually you don't find a better definition in the Urban Dictionary, but it said, of a couple to be in the early stages of a relationship where they go out on dates to find out what each other is like as a prelude to actually being a fully fledged couple. And so out of that, I got some key words to describe the dating experience. The key words that I got is it's an early relationship. It is a prelude to a fully fledged relationship. So I want you to kind of keep that in your mind as we have this conversation, or this kind of one-way conversation if don't nobody say nothing. But to keep that in mind, a date is an early relationship. So it is a relationship that preludes a fully fledged relationship. And one of the questions I feel like we have to ask ourselves when we're asking ourselves if our teenagers are ready to date or not yet is, does your child understand what a relationship is? How many relationships has your child actually engaged in that are not relationships with parents or older adults? And also, is your child capable of engaging in a fully fledged relationship? Sometimes I feel like we give our kids these responsibilities, like the responsibility of dating, because I do feel dating is a huge responsibility, without asking ourselves, are they capable of that type of relationship? And like we described in our definition, an early relationship. So when a boy goes, or a teenage boy goes and asks a girl out on a date, what he's actually asking her is, do you want to enter into a relationship? So we need to really let that sink in. When your son or your daughter goes on a date with a boy or girl, they are entering into a relationship. And not only a relationship, but a prelude to a fully fledged relationship. If your child doesn't understand what a fully fledged relationship is, should you be allowing them to go on this journey of dating? And what is that going to look like for that child if they are not responsible enough to engage in a relationship, let alone a fully fledged relationship? And I think we have to understand the mechanics, the connections of an actual relationship, right? So, and for the moms on here who are married, like, you probably understand what a full-fledged relationship is. And a relationship where we are not, or even if you just been with your man for a very long time, you likely understand what a full-fledged relationship is. A full-fledged relationship is a relationship where, in essence, we are connected spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally, intellectually. I would even argue that if you're in a real relationship, you can't really make too many major moves in life without consulting that other person, or it becomes an upset. So understanding what a fully fledged relationship is, if you're sending your child down this path towards dating, which says it's a fully fledged relationship, are they going to be able to comprehend that? Are they going to be able to even understand what that means? And I think that that has to begin to be a kind of a guideline for determining whether our child is ready to go off on a date or not. So when I wrote down, when your child steps into the dating scene, he or she is taking with them all of your dating baggage. And this is single moms, married moms, whatever moms. If your relationship that you're in, or were in, or, or currently in, is a relationship in which you've had a lot of turmoil, you have not been able to resolve problems easily, or you've not figured out a process for resolving problems between the male and the female, if your relationship is one that's full of arguments and bickering, if your relationship is one that is full of financial strife and emotional strife, you need to realize that your kid is taking that dating baggage into these preludes to fully fledged relationship. So if you have not modeled correctly for your child good behavior when it comes to male-female relationships, should your child then be trusted to go and engage with another child, because these are two children, should they be trusted to go engage with another child in the dating process? And one of my favorite movies that I kind of took a dating cue from when it came to my oldest son is The Godfather. The Godfather is a highly underestimated movie. Like, you got to watch that movie with your third eye open, and understanding that movie is about culture. It is about how this family was able to create strength, power, and bonds on their way up this mafia ladder, right? But one of the best parts in that movie is when Apollonia and Michael go on their first date. And if you notice, on their first date, there is a posse of women following them. And I had to ask myself when I first noticed it, because I didn't notice it after the first time I watched the movie. I noticed it like probably 6 or 7 times after I watched the movie, 6 or 7 times watching the movie. And what I said to myself is, why are they following them? And I said, because they understood that dating is a responsibility. It is not something you do just because you want to have an experience with another female or another male. Dating is a responsibility, and we as mothers owe it to our children, and also to our neighbors, to the other mom friends we have, to the moms that are out there that we don't even know, to make sure that our children engage in responsible dating practices. It's not enough for them to just say, I like so-and-so, so I want to go sit in a dark movie theater with them by myself. How many violations of girls have occurred, spoken and unspoken, in dark movie theaters where kids were allowed to be alone? I'm sure it's more than we even know. Because at the end of the day, you have to think about it like this. I think about it, and I have all sons. I don't have any daughters. I think about it as in, if my son goes into a dark movie theater and violates somebody's daughter, how am I going to feel as a woman? As a woman, I'm responsible for the energy I allow my son to put out there. So if I say, all right, let's get you on the dating path, and you go into a movie theater with this young lady, and you touching and filling up on her breast, and this is the first time that she's engaged with a young man, that's her first experience, and that's what I've allowed? Like, really? Like, seriously? So we really need to begin to ask ourselves these questions and stop. And I think it's because so many parents have very trivial ideals about dating. So we allow our children to pretty much do the same thing. We allow them to enter into these preludes to fully fledged relationships with no thought, with no process, with no understanding of how you're supposed to treat a young man or a young lady. And what we end up doing is we set our children up for a constant cycle of heartbreak until they find their mates, which I personally don't think is normal. And I went through it. I dated when I was 15, 16, 17, 18. I dated when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I dated. But they were very rarely positive experiences because I didn't know what the mechanics of a relationship were. And so therefore I couldn't understand that while I'm going into this seeking a fully fledged relationship, the man may or may not be seeking a fully fledged relationship. And for that reason, I have to be a little bit guarded with my heart. I've got to be a little bit more guarded with the things that I allow this person to know about me and understand about me. But that is something that comes from trial and error. But we need to stop making it something that comes from trial and error. We need to start explaining to our children that, hey, I'm not allowing you to date because I need to keep an eye on you. And because I, as a parent, am responsible for, I'm responsible for your actions. And so I can't allow you to go out here and just casually date as a kid. We say the words teenager, but realistically, when you were 17, when you were 18, when you were 15, 16, I'm going to be honest. My brain was turned on the channel. You know that channel back in the day when all the TV went off and that channel that came on and just went shh. That's what my brain looked like. So knowing that your brain likely looks like that too, maybe there's a little glimmer of hope for you. Why would I send you out to go be responsible for another young person's sexuality, emotions, intellect, physicality? That's not responsible parenting as far as I'm concerned. So we have to stop setting our kids up for this cycle of, it's like we tell our kids that when they go out and date, like we're just setting them up and telling them like, it's going to be hard. I hate when parents tell their daughters, oh, well, I had to kiss a lot of frogs to get my prince. Why? Because you put yourself in that situation at the end of the day. You don't have to kiss a lot of frogs. You could let a lot of frogs take you to dinner. You could have walks in the park with a lot of frogs. You could take them frogs and let them get you ice cream and everything else. But you ain't got to kiss them. You don't. You're not obligated. But we have to start having these talks, and we have to encourage our children to postpone these preludes to fully fledged relationships. Because you're not ready to engage in a fully fledged relationship at that age. Between the ages of, I would say you're not really ready to engage in a fully fledged relationship till you're at least 22 years old. You got boys wanting to sow their royal oats. Nowadays, you got teenage girls wanting to do the same daggone thing. Right? And yet and still, we're like, oh, it's 15, it's 16, it's time for him or her to go date. Why? Why? So this is what I mean. A lot of times you'll hear me say here on the Brown Mamas Facebook page and Pittsburgh Brown Mamas page, we need to begin to redefine for ourselves what success looks like, what family looks like, what love looks like, all of those things. Because we need to understand that up until this point or past this point, we've not been given very good examples. And most of us don't necessarily know, don't have any processes in place for how to deal with things like teenage dating that occur on an everyday basis. And so we need to begin to engage in reading, and not just reading for fun, but reading the works of other people and figuring out, how has this been done in the past? How was it done when it was done most effectively? And making sure that our children are engaging in equally yoked relationships. I know so many of my, peers, friends, family members who are in unequally yoked relationships. And it began because they didn't have a process for dating. They didn't have a process where they said, we got to go on so many dates, or before I'll even take you seriously, or, a certain words need to be said. Certain rituals need to happen in order for us to solidify into a prelude to a fully fledged relationship. And we have to begin to determine that for ourselves as Black people, because at this point, we have a lot of daughters. We have a lot of daughters and we have a lot of sons who are very trivial with them sexual organs. They just want to hit it and quit it. Hit it and quit it. But as mothers, it's time for us to start taking on the responsibility and telling our sons, no, you're not going to have 50 million girls calling this phone. If I'm paying the phone bill, I don't give a damn if you're paying the phone. If you answering the phone in my crib, you will only have one girl calling this phone. And if I catch you having more than one girl calling this phone, then you just get the phone taken. Then you don't need the phone because you obviously don't know how to use it properly. And then for our daughters, we need to begin to lift them up and build confidence in them so that when they do go out into the dating world, they don't have the expectation of heartbreak. So many of our daughters go into the dating world with the expectation. They expect to get their hearts broken. And then the crazy thing about black women is we got processes for mourning a relationship. Like, we'll play our Sade, we get all our cry music, get our tissue out, lay in the bed. I know because I've been there. But we don't have no process for guarding ourselves from the BS that's often waiting for us out in the dating world. That has to come to an end. At some point, we have to say to ourselves, relationships are serious. Whether it be a friendship, whether it be a romantic relationship, these are serious things that we engage in. And so because they are serious, because other people are involved, because people who are living and breathing and loving and giving of themselves are involved in these relationships, we have to begin to care how they are managed, how their feelings, their emotions, how their physicality and sexuality is managed. We have to begin to care about that. And so I propose that we move back, get rid of dating, like cross that off, and begin to move towards courtship. And so I looked up the definition of courtship. And what I have is, it's a behavior designed to persuade someone to marry or develop a romantic relationship with one. I'll say that again. It's a behavior designed to persuade someone to marry or develop a romantic relationship with one another, or with the other person. That to me is what we as African American mothers, as black mothers, need to begin to do. We need to begin to encourage our sons and daughters to engage in courtship. Courtship says, I am on a mission to persuade this young man or this young woman to fall in love with me. It doesn't say, come get me for ice cream and let's go back to your house. Or take me to the movies and then let's go back to your house. That's not what courtship says. So we need to begin to train. Number one, when I heard that definition, it is a behavior designed. It is designed. It is a training session you have to go through because it is designed to persuade, means to persuade someone, which means there's going to be some trial and error there. For our sons, we need to stop letting them think that, oh, you go on a date with her. Oh, well, she ain't no good because she's trying to get you to spend money. She ain't no good because of this and this and that and that. No, he's supposed to be pursuing her. The lioness don't chase the lion. He's supposed to be pursuing her. And we need to begin to teach our sons, you are on a mission to persuade, to pursue. When you find a woman that you love, who is worth it, has proven to you in a plethora of ways that she is worthy of your life and your love, then now you need to begin to persuade her. And you're not just going to persuade her by these little petty dates. You persuade her by showing. I heard a man say once, one of my favorite African Center philosophers, in Walamu Baruti, he said, one of the best things he ever did for his wife is buy her some long johns. Because it was a cold winter that year, and it showed his wife that he was thinking about her, that he loved her, that he was concerned with her well-being. That's what we have to start raising our sons to do. We have to start raising our sons to be the best courters there are, because black women are the best wives there are. So if we are the best, then we deserve nothing less. And if we raise our sons with that, oh, don't spend your money on no woman, let her be independent and all that stuff, then what does that say about us as women and the undoubted experiences that we've all had with heartbreak, right? We've all had it. We've all been that girl who goes home and cries because she feels unloved. So if we know that that's a tension in our own lives, it's time for us to start raising up the solution. We have to raise up the solution. And so, with courtship in mind, I said my son's dating experience will be these things. It will be supervised, it will be analyzed, and it will have expectations and standards. No, you will not be allowed to go with no young girl to the movies and touch up on her titties, because I'm going to be in the back row. Because I'm not going to let my sisters go out like that. And at the end of the day, it's about me having my sisters back. That's what it's about. I got her back, even if her mama ain't got it, even if her cousin ain't got it, even if the person sitting down there sitting 2 rows down is going to let somebody feel on her breast. No, I'm there. Because I'm going to make sure I check these men and make sure they do what they're supposed to do. And what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to treat her with respect and kindness and care, because she's deserving of that. His dating experience will be analyzed. We will come back and we will talk about it. We'll talk about this girl. We'll talk about what you like about this girl. For the young ladies, we'll talk about how we felt during the courtship experience. Did we feel loved? Did we feel cared for? Did we feel like he's worthy of our attention? Whether, you know, us sisters, we get our analysis on quick. We can tell you in a hot second, no, he did that because of this, that, and there. So we need to begin to analyze these dating experiences, and you'll make that comfortable for your daughters and sons by talking to them on a regular basis. Whether it's your husband, whether it's your uncle, whether it's, you know, your auntie, your kid needs to have somebody that they can go to analyze. Because they need to analyze this person. If this is a prelude to a fully fledged relationship, then you need somebody other than yourself to be like, okay, let's make sure all these T's is crossed and all these I's is dotted. And then I said, his dating experience will have expectations and standards. Like, it's not cool for you to go pick up that girl for the movies and your pants is hanging off your ass and you shaking her dad's hand. I'm not going out like that. It's not cool for you to be like, oh, you got half. We ain't going out like that. You ain't got no money, nigga. Don't go on excuse me. You ain't got no money, man. Don't go on a date. Don't expect her to pay half and this is the first date. Like, at least, before you even think about going Dutch, at least put a ringer on her finger. Like, you asking for a lot there. So, it will have expectations. It will have standards. We will not just allow you to go out here and date these girls and you don't have no type of understanding of what should be expected. And so, I wrote down as my final point, I love my son too much to allow him to violate his own psyche or a young girl's psyche that way. Our children deserve better and they deserve more. Because you have to realize that this whole dating thing, we all know it's all psychological. It's all, these days, it's all about how the boy can mess with the girl's head, how the girl could get some shoes next weekend. It's all psychological. And so we have to begin to take our children to the side and make them realize that in a relationship, it is not just about sex. It is not just about the physicality. Of course, that might be what gets you there. You might be, you know, first physically attracted to a woman, but that's not what's going to sustain a fully fledged relationship. So we have to let them know that this dating, this courtship thing is going to involve your emotions, your physical, your intellectual, and your spirit. It's going to involve all of these. And if you're going to take on this responsibility, then it needs to be supervised, analyzed, have expectations and standards. And so that's really what I've got to answer the question, should we allow our teenage sons and daughters to date? No, we should not. They are not capable of dating yet. When they're capable of dating, trust me, mama, you will know. When they're capable, whether it's when they're 18 or when they're 33. You will know. But as for children taking on this responsibility, I'd have to say an unequivocal no. At least my son won't be allowed to do it. It's that simple. Not unless I feel he's mature enough. So, that's what I got. I hope y'all mamas have a nice night. If you don't know me, my name is Muffy Mendoza. I blog at brownmamas.com, and I also run the local support group for black moms here in Pittsburgh Brown Mamas. And my focus is always on creating a community for black mothers where we unequivocally say that black moms are the best moms. Y'all have a great night and enjoy. If you're here at the end, watch the replay. Trust me, you will be blessed. Bye-bye.